Hey, Alexus, Love Beauties, and Flawless Man. Welcome back to part 7 of the part 7. Welcome back to part 9 of the 7 deadly sins. So, thank you for joining me on this journey where we are learning how to protect our spirits in general and how to save our own soul. If you have not already, you can watch parts 1 through 8. Some of those are videos, some of those are podcast episodes, and also some of those are live. I would be sure to tag them, or they are on the page. You can just go into those sections. Now, we have done a multitude of different series just like this, very informational, where we broke it down for beginners. So I'm going to leave a tag here, and you can go and watch more series in the Healing Starter playlist. Here in part 9, this is going to be our last video, but we're just going to go down and conclude the 7 deadly sins versus the 7 virtues. And we're actually going to go into how those multiply, just to give us an overall understanding of these sins and how they multiply. Sometimes we're like, well, I'm not sinning in this area. I'm not gluttony. I'm not lusting. I'm on a good, healthy diet. But there may be already some things in our life that has already multiplied. So we're going to get into the 7 deadly sins and how they multiply now. There is something called a capital sin. So the capital sin and the 7 deadly sins are the same thing. They're still lust, gluttony, sloth, greed. Look, we done learned them. Lust, gluttony, sloth, greed, pride, envy, wrath. They're still the same things, but they're called capital sins. The capital sins is the start. This is the introduction to get those sins to multiply. So that's what a capital sin is. It's just a start. It's an introduction. So the capital sins are lust, greed, pride, envy, wrath, sloth, and gluttony. That's how they start. And they might start innocent. It might start innocent as you meeting with this guy or meeting with this girl and y'all just hugging, nobody asking God nothing. Then that might turn intimate and that multiplies. It might start innocent with, just being a little greedy. It can be in food. It can be in money, just never being satisfied. Not 100%, but just a little bit. It can start with you being a little lazy, but you ain't really lazy like that. But, you're not really interested to do things or move things. It can start with a little bit of gluttony, like, okay, I'm just going to eat a little bit. But, maybe you're watching mukbangs and that turns to, okay, I'm finna start being a mukbang, or I'm about to start smashing. So it starts as a capital sin first. Come on, Jesus. It starts with the introduction. Then when you're not careful, maybe we haven't learned that information, but they multiply. So the capital sins are those. The capital sins multiply into adultery, fornication, uncleanness, lasciviousness, idolatry, witchcraft, hatreds, variance, emulations, wrath, strife, sedations, heresies, envyings, murders, and drunkenness. That is what the capital sins multiply into. We have been so caught in a strong delusion that we've done probably half of all of these things and did not realize where they started from. You could have been born into sin. It could have been introduced to you. It could have been forced on you. Lust could have been forced on you to now where you're adulterous. Now you're fornicating all times of the hour. Now you're, selling body parts to be doing this. So they multiply. It is imperative that we do our extended research and do what we have to do to stay away from these things. One of these sins, the capital sin of pride, starts all of these. Being stubborn, not listening to people, think you know it all. Pride starts it, and then it just multiplies. So not do these just multiply within themselves. Lust turns into adultery, fornication, sedations. Lust is also going to turn into greed. Now you want more than one partner. Greed is also going to turn into gluttony. So it just keeps going and going and going. We learned that when one demon is in a person and that deadly sin leaves that person, it comes back with 7 more. So the lust may have been innocent, but it comes back harder and multiplies. So those are how the sins multiply. Now we're going to learn about the 7 virtues. So this is the opposite of the 7 deadly sins. This is what we want, the fruit of the spirit. Chastity, temperance, charity, diligence, kindness, patience, and humility are the 7 virtues. Now, these multiply into love, joy, peace, long suffering, gentleness, goodness, faith, and meekness. So these are the fruit of the spirits that we want. You can also find more information about that in Galatians chapter 5, where the Lord does a versus the fruit of the flesh versus the fruit of the spirit. What's happening is the fruit of the flesh is lusting after the fruit of the spirit. The fruit of the spirit is lusting after the fruit of the flesh. And we learned what lust is in part 1 or in part 2. Lust is an intense desire to want something. So the enemy, the fruit of the flesh, wants to take your soul. He wants to have you leave here. That way he has a soul in the pits of hell which he lives. But the Lord is fighting for us to actually change our lives, repent and turn away from these things. Just walk away from these things, give these things up, heal, and do what it is that we need to do. So it's a battle. So the Lord wants to actually save your soul. The enemy wants to actually, corrupt your soul. That way it is his. So they're battling with each other. It's the 7 deadly sins versus the 7 virtues. We want to be under the 7 virtues. So Alexus, Love, Beauties, and Flawless Man, that does conclude this 9-part series. Again, I encourage you to do your extended research. Still look the word up, go into the scriptures, watch the series. But if you have to, get a little notebook, write these things down. We forget about these things when we go off and we're living our life. But we live and we think things are normal, and it is not normal. That's what the enemy does. He wants to desensitize you to think that listening is normal, just getting married to anybody, laying with anybody, and it's not normal. So I encourage you to do your extended research. I will leave some tags here in the video and at the end of this video if possible. I love you. God bless you. And I will see you in the next series.